Round 4 in the LPL playoffs. After FPX's insane upset victory yesterday over RNG, we will find out today who is going to join them in the upper bracket finals, in the semifinals of the overall tournament, and who's gonna have to go down and face RNG, the first seed of the regular season, in the losers bracket for a spot in the other semi-final. For this matchup, we have EDG, who started out the season in first place and then got overtaken by RNG towards the end of the split. Still finished in second place firmly, up against Top Esports, who I don't really think needs an introduction. Have been playing just great so far in this tournament bracket, and also of course made it to Worlds last year. Disappointed a little bit there, but only got taken out by a fellow LPL team. Therefore, still looking strong so far in these playoffs, especially Jackie Love just playing insane. And the only other AD carry that people say has been playing better than Jackie Love so far in this split is on the other side of this bottom lane matchup here in Viper. The man is quite possibly the best AD carry player in the world right now. Has in regular season dominated everybody in the LPL here and is going to look to continue his dominance. But as far as dominance from the regular season and how it transfers into playoffs goes, we saw how that worked yesterday for RNG, so we don't want to draw any early conclusions here, and we're just excited for this matchup of two giants of the LPL. EDG, on their part, is one of the most historic organizations in Chinese League of Legends. They brought the first international title to China in the modern era of the game with the Season 5 mid-season invitational win. And also, they attended so many world championships. Their players are well known in the LPL and internationally. And although there's some early bottom lane skirmishing going in the favor of Top Esports for now, they are certainly considered the favorites in this matchup up against Top Esports. Top Esports, with their lineup, pretty much the same players as at Worlds last year. Hold that thought, though, as an early top dive is coming in here. Classic early action for the LPL. First blood picked up by Rise here for Scout, and Knight with the teleport in can now only watch as the EDG top side make their way out of that top lane. Beautiful, and this is the staple LPL early game play. The top laner stacking the waves, and the jungler clearing his jungle all the way up there to pull off the dive. Team Top Esports trying to replicate the same thing in the bottom side now. Maker already without the aftershock. Viper flashes. Great 3-man knockup coming out of Maker, and that's Viper trading his life with the enemy jungler, Karza. And Maker was still getting hit here in the bottom side, but will survive with the double buff now on the Alistar. Kills have been traded for both supports, picking up one of them, which means neither side is going to be entirely happy with this play. And the silver lining for Top Esports is at least that Viper will lose a bunch of these minions here in the bottom side. Wow, what a great coordination coming out here from Team EDG. Maker with the headbutt of the cannon minion, just so that Viper could reach it with his own W, and manages to at least pick up the cannon minion, but a bunch of CS lost to that dive in experience and gold for the Kaiser means that Top Esports are still overall coming out a little bit ahead with that play. In the meantime, Ziyech also got his flash burned in the jungle in the top side, did not pay attention or respect the enemy respawns coming in and forcing him out of the jungle there. Therefore, no more playmaking tools on that Ude for the next 4 minutes. As far as advantages across the map go, though, both the top and the bot lanes here respectively got forced off about a wave for the turret dive. The kill, the only meaningful kill really in this game, is now lying on the Rise here in the mid lane for Scout. I'm looking at him to kind of keep constant pressure on that middle lane, disable that Twisted Fate from moving out of there and making plays on the map. Top Esports are already looking at the bot lane again, though, Knight has just hit level 6 on that Twisted Fate in the middle lane. Now has a little bit of a roam timer here. Could look to move into some of the side lanes, but GG is already here in the bot side and looking to cover for his bot lane. Gets forced off of this ward here though, and Karsa now can just enter the EDG jungle at his will. Scout now finally having made his way back into the mid lane, able to roam down as well. Will be spotted out on a ward though. Decides to only go for his own raptors, it seems, which have not even spawned yet. Therefore just going back to mid lane while Knight is making his way down bot here. Nobody pulling a trigger on any plays yet. In the top lane we see Jace just stacking that tier. Should be a calm laning phase up there after he gets that assist on the tower dive. The Irelia is set a bit behind. We'll need to farm up a few more items before she can really start contesting the Jace and threaten an all-in onto Flandre, who will look to try and push his lead as best as possible in that matchup. Already picked up the early lethality, means that he packs a sizable punch for the Irelia with that Vamp Scepter and the Corrupting Potion. She should be able to sustain up against that though. GG gets spotted out here in the jungle by Karsa. Scout ults in and, excuse me, Knight that is on the Twisted Fate. GG great with the turtle stance, but gets sniped out by Karsa's undertow. And it's another kill going over to top esports. GG just getting spotted out and teleported on by the enemy Twisted Fate. And EDG did not see that coming, are now getting collapsed onto in the bottom side. Teleport available for Flandre up here in the top lane, but instead nobody decides to pull it. Mako, another great multi-man knock up here, but Viper will drop as well. Scout now a little bit late to the party here in the bot lane. Gets nothing out of this roam except Causel's Flash here, who gets cornered by GG and Scout flashing after him. I don't think he's gonna have the CC to lock up Karsa here. Joe moving back over, but never mind that. Scout just takes out Karsa and the enemy Rel will now have to flash out as well, but doesn't even get to the wall. What a blunder coming out from top esports here. Just getting completely owned by the enemy Ryze, and Flandre in the top side managed to avoid that all-in attempt by 369 as well. Now 3 kills for Scout in the mid lane, who, let's face it, was late to the play, but then got donated over those 2 kills by the side of top esports, so aggressively flashing after that Olaf, who probably could have just ran out of there with the blue smite in combination with the undertow, but instead decides to try and turn the fight before Gilles can even assist him here on that Rel. Therefore, great play for EDG overall. Again, their AD carry is getting set a little bit behind, but Mako once more on the dive finds such a great combo onto both enemy carries, prolonging this dive situation even more. And Karsa on its way out, of course, gets chased here by Scout and GG. Scout flashes after him, and here I feel like if he just blue smites and runs off, there's nothing they can do, but instead he tries to turn and just gets himself blown up. Another Rift Herald situation now coming in, and it's already GG getting taken out here. Flandre also slowed up by the undertow. He is going to have to flash. When is he going to decide to burn his summoner? There he goes. Scout now almost in range of the undertow in the gold card. Flandre still deciding to poke back in a little bit here, but they should probably just let it go. Rift Herald and 1 kill going over to the side of top esports. Again, top esports so far, the ones finding the better place here on the map, and EDG just getting stuff back when mechanically outplaying, as was the case in that first bot dive and also with Scout here. Well, outplay is a generous word for that situation. A bottom lane all in coming in here. Ults blown by both AD carries, but Jackaloff has already been taken low. Heal still available to him, but Scout is already here. There's no avail. Heal is getting saved by the enemy Tristana, and 2 kills go over to EDG. Viper now finally picking up the first one of his game, while Ryze gets the 4th one. And these carries for EDG are already starting to look scary. 3 kills on the enemy Twisted Fate is just not the same look as 4 kill Ryze on the other side, who's just going to put out that much more damage than the utility providing Twisted Fate in those team fights. One would have to imagine here. Well, let's take a quick breather here and assess the situation at hand. It's only about 11 minutes into the game, only 1 dragon so far taken by the side of EDG. And Flandre now in the top side here, actually getting zoned off CS in the top lane. That's a bunch of minions that are just going to suicide into the turret. He can't even walk up here through his own jungle. Realizes that and drops a bunch of CS here to the turret. Always a very annoying situation for a top laner when you have to, well, make map movements or reset and get that wave shoved into your turret. So far, EDG, though, definitely have to be happy with how things develop. They were always caught on the back foot in many of these plays, but still somehow managed to come out on top whenever TES played a little bit careless with their leads. Not necessarily plays that EDG forced onto them, but good punish on little mess-ups by TES's part. So what that means is that Ryze already sits on this Everfrost completed here in the mid lane, makes him much more difficult to catch and instead gives him a bit more catch power. Flandre in the top lane just going to be killed off here. No flash on that Jace, tries to run his way out of there, but you're not going to outrun the Olaf when he lands his undertow so beautifully. And Viper on the bot side as well here, overstepping, getting almost one shot by the enemy bot lane, has to flash out of there, and actually it's Scout turning the play around, realizing that TES might have just reached a bit too far, and Joe also about to get sniped here. Double kill going over to the Ryze, 6 kills now on Scout. While Flandre got taken out on the top side and the Herald is being used here to pick up 2 turrets for the side of Top Esports, I think I'll still take EDG's side of the trade any day of the week. They get themselves 2 more kills onto the Ryze. And also the entire engage combination used by the Rel here. They might even be able to pick up a few more plates here down in the bottom lane. Is Scout. And while there's no turret fallen yet on the side of Top Esports, and they did manage to pick up 2 with that Rift Herald after killing the Jace, it's still a massive rise on the other side, and although it's about 500,000 gold to the advantage of Top Esports, it's really just the enemy backline looking so scary on EDG's side. Scout, what a performance here. He's been playing in the LPL for so many years now. Always, it seems, outshined by some great mid laners in that league. On the likes of Rookie is what I'm thinking about here. The likes of Knight, of course, and Yagao even, and Xiao, of course, in many seasons. But at this point in time, he looks definitely like one of the top mid laners here in the league. Definitely nothing behind Knight here in this series, as far as I'm concerned. And with the Rookie already out of the tournament, the only mid laner that people say might have been truly better than Scout over the course of this split, he definitely looks like a player that can hold his own in all of these mid lane matchups and take over some maps such as this one as well. Such a beautiful glow up to witness here is Scout's story in the LPL. Never been a bad player in the league, and now finally might just be able to put his team over the top here across the finish line and go towards that first finals appearance. One step at a time, though we're still here. A 500,000 gold behind TES or EDG, while Scout finally gets the first turret for his team in the bottom side, picks up another wave here. This Ryze is just getting massive, more than 10 CS per minute is what he averages right now. Still a 1,000 gold bounty on his head upon kill. If TS were could manage to well, if they managed to collect that bounty and funnel it onto any of those 3, preferably Aurelia or Tristana, I think that Tristana would just be the most suitable champion for that. If they managed to do that, they could really balloon one of their carries here and put them in a spot where they might be able to turn some team fights alone. But as it stands, EDG's backline simply seems to have too much damage for Top Esports to deal with. And this Herald is just going over uncontested to the side of EDG, while TES are trying to make something work here in the middle lane. Push in that wave, not going to be able to reach the turret though before EDG come back over from the objective. Mako now forced to burn his own ultimate after face checking into this Team TES core. The Dragon is now what both teams seem to focus on. Top Esports started off, and it seems EDG just decided to drop the objective in favor for the mid turret. They could just, yep, there he goes. The Rift Herald summon up here in the mid lane, takes out that first turret in the middle lane as well. And now the turret score is equalized. It's EDG who are actually 500,000 gold in advantage in this, in this 16-minute spot. And it's looking more and more like the game is going to slow down for a little bit. We're going to, well, go into a bit of a lost state, if those things even exist here in the LPL. And with one dragon picked up by each team, nobody is forced to contest any dragons that they are not, perfectly set up for. Since that dragon soul point is still quite a while away, 10 minutes until either side could even reach that soul point. And so far, both teams should be quite happy with where they're at. I always painted this Rise as this scary, well, unstoppable teamfight force, and flash play made onto Flandre now in the bot side. Knight still teleports in, but realizes they can't follow up on their kill, and now EDG might look to turn the play here with Scout having teleported in. Gets out those EQ combos, but nothing landing so far onto the side of Top Esports. They get their way out of there with another play they attempted, but didn't quite manage to land any kills. Flash blown by the side of Flandre, but also flashes blown on the side of 369 and Knight. Therefore, overall positive play for the side of EDG. Teleport invested by Scout, but they still have the one on Flandre available, meaning that Jace can for sure just sit in that side lane and split push. Needs to be careful though for the all-in coming out potentially from 369 or getting teleported on by Knight once more. Therefore they'll need some good vision setup if they want to have that Jace split push over the half point of the map and pressure onto those red team turrets. Rizal play now made up in the top side onto Knight, who, remember, no flash for him. He's just gonna get taken out here. Kill given over. 600 gold to Viper. That's gotta taste beautifully. And this Kai'Sa is getting more and more accelerated, the likes of the Rise in the mid lane. So exactly what you don't want to have happen if you're Top Esports in this matchup here. This Baron is about to come up in 1.5 minutes, and if at that point in time this Rise and the Kai'Sa are just too far ahead of your own backline carries, then those teamfights are going to be that much more difficult to take. They're pretty much relying on Irelia finding a nice beautiful flank here. Knight being able to isolate one of the carries with his Destiny activation, and maybe also just Kai'Sa running down one of the enemy backliners. But at this stage it's just gonna get molten by either the Rise or the Kai'Sa if he approaches them alone. Therefore we'll need to, Top Esports are going to need to pull up some very well coordinated plays and very well set up objective fights if they want to contest EDG on any of those. Another look at this Rise ult up here in the top lane. Although Knight times the Everfrost quite perfectly, upon arrival EDG get all rooted up, but still able to fire the stuff onto Knight before. Therefore, he has no chance of making his way out of there. And this Rise ult is pretty much just, well, one could call it a poor man's TF ult because the range is just quite a bit lower, but then again, he can transport his entire team with him. Therefore, might just be a better TF ult for circumstances such as this. And it's always such a difficult, line to walk when you're trying to split push into an enemy Twisted Fate or Rise or any champion of that sort. Nocturne is another one of those where they can just semi-globally ult onto you and punish your split push if you're ever in engage range. We've seen both of these situations now on the bot side onto Jace and on the top side onto the Twisted Fate himself, where those mid laners can just pull their teleport ults and collapse onto the split pusher. That's one of the reasons why split push as a playstyle has diminished so greatly over the course of these past few years in professional play. While it still was a prominently used tactic at 2018 World Championships, for example, ever since then its use has greatly declined in every pro league pretty much. Whenever teams are well coordinated against it and decide to pick things that can punish it, like this Twisted Fate or Rise in very extreme forms, you're not going to have that easy of a time split pushing, and therefore many teams have just resorted to, well, jungle-centric playstyle or just straight up 5v5 power. A little bit of a break here caught by Top Esports. They need to worry in these upcoming minutes about Baron attempts coming out of EDG. They have unfathomable amounts of damage here onto this objective with that Rise pretty much just like a Gatling gun spamming out those EQ combinations onto the Baron, and the Kaiser of course always a champion whose Baron speed you have to respect as well. Therefore, if ever left unguarded, this Baron might just melt in a matter of, well, 12 to 15 seconds or something like that, if even that much. Top Esports now, again with this Twisted Fate, I like what they're doing. They're picking those exhausted teleport summoners, moving him down towards the bot lane and trying to make plays onto the split pusher of EDG. That's one of G2 Esports staple plays actually, 1 or 2 years ago, where they moved both their side laners into one lane and then make a play onto the enemy side laner and either split push and force the enemies to respond, or teleport onto them when they start up the Baron buff and force a 5v4 situation that way. Flandre not overstepping his boundaries though in the bot side, not giving even the opportunity over to Top Esports to attempt such a play. And now finally Rel has to face check one Bush, trying to get that Baron vision and prevent EDG from just starting it up, getting caught out in the process, which means that EDG get to start up this objective for free now. Of course, they are going to have to look to turn, otherwise Karza can just flash in and try to flip the objective. It seems like that's exactly what they're going to attempt to do here though. Mako flashing over, but it's actually Olaf who gets in and steals it away. EDG just way too careless with this objective and now have to try and win the fight. 2 kills already picked up by them. So far so good. Not getting teleported on now as well. Flandre already quite low. Not taken out though, and another kill over the Scout. Overall, a fine development here. 4 kills picked up if we factor in that Rel that started off the entire play here. But the Baron going over to Top Esports and still active on Jakilov might just buy them a couple of more minutes. They are now trying to catch up Flandre in the top side, but EDG are still around in part here. Jakilov picks up the first kill of the fight though. Scout having teleported in now, pouncing onto the enemy AD carry, but still Jakilov refusing to go down, and it's a 1-for-1 trade here. Again, kill up picked up by Jakilov in return for a 1 kill onto the enemy Jace. That's a trade-off that Top Esports will take any day of the week in the stage that they find themselves in right here. And despite these kills continuously going over to the side of EDG, it's still only about a, well, 1,500 gold gap in their favor. And it was Top Esports who actually picked up that Baron. But one more look at this. Mako trying to flash over and knock away Karza, but he has the reaction to immune that knockback and in return flashes into the pit, smites away the objective right on time. Karza stepping up once more in that MVP caliber form that he has found himself in ever since last season pretty much. Another decent performance here from the Olaf, while Viper is trying to make a play now onto 369, forces the enemy's flash now, and TES is already in full retreat here on the play. Now it's still on the side of the map, trying to set up another catch or split push situation here for his team. Not able to do so while EDG just pounds ruthlessly onto the 4-man block of Top Esports. Therefore the Baron of course not going to be used to, well, siege for Top Esports here or even amount a gold lead of any sort. It's still a rather even Baron power play for them, and after the Baron buff runs out in about 40 seconds, they're going to have to go back to defensive play and just holding on as long as possible. Luckily for them, in this game we're only going to have to worry about a Cloud Soul coming up for EDG, so it's not like they're going to have the game handed to them for free by just stacking those 2 more dragon. Instead, it's a fight breaking out for this third dragon, fourth one, if you will. In the bottom side river, Twisted Fate already burns his destiny, teleports behind the sides of EDG, well, more towards his own base, and it's going to be a little bit more difficult here now for Top Esports to approach this objective. Mako goes over onto the enemy AD carry, just blows up with the help of his AD carry Jekyllov, and it's already a bad fight here. Triple kill going over to the enemy Kaiser Viper here. Another kill for him, but the Penta stolen away by Scout. It's still a clean ace here, 5-4-0, and they're looking to march it down mid lane and end the game here. 30 seconds. 20 seconds on the support, 22 here on Jakillov's Tristana. They might just be able to close out the game. Let's see how far they take it. Their tanks are already low. They're not quite able to tank up those turrets. Ryze ulting in a few more minions under the enemy Nexus turrets, and that's going to have to be the game. Nobody respawning in time to stop EDG here. First map taken by them, the favorites, playing a great game here with Scout taking over the entire map. 1-0 up for EDG.